For those over 60, you've likely devoted your life to hard work, family responsibilities, and caring for others' needs. Now, as you enter this new phase, whether you call it retirement, reinvention, or simply your time, something transformative begins to happen. You start to understand that life isn't about accumulating more, but about selecting better. This insight isn't commonly discussed. Sometimes living better requires releasing things. Rather than adding more responsibilities, it means removing items from your schedule. It means letting go of habits, beliefs, and pressures that no longer benefit you. In this presentation, we'll discuss 9 things worth releasing after turning 60. Not because you've made mistakes, but because you deserve greater joy, peace, and freedom in your life. These insights come from my decade-plus experience working with individuals just like you, people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, who have demonstrated what truly living well means. Stay with me until the conclusion, as the final point might completely change your approach to each new day. Let's begin. The first thing to release after 60 is saving driven by fear. This might initially sound counterintuitive. After all, saving money is a value many of us were raised with. Save for emergencies, save for retirement, save just in case. Throughout most of your life, this mindset has served you well. However, at a certain point, particularly after 60, fear-based saving can become limiting. Here's why. The purpose of saving is to provide for your future self. It's a tool, a method of preparing for the life you want to live later. But what happens when later has arrived? What happens when you've saved enough? When your financial needs are covered, yet you remain afraid to spend anything? I've witnessed this repeatedly. I once met a man with over $2 million in retirement accounts. He was debt-free, owned his home outright, and had more than enough to last his lifetime. Yet whenever his wife suggested taking a vacation, purchasing a camper, or even enjoying a nice restaurant meal, he would become anxious. He would say, "What if something happens? What if we need those funds later?" I gently asked him, "What if you never use it? What if later never arrives as you expect?" That question resonated with him, and perhaps it resonates with you too. Saving money matters, but eventually you must trust in the life you've built. You must permit yourself to enjoy it, to travel, to give gifts, to create memories. Not carelessly or thoughtlessly, but without guilt. If you've planned effectively and your essential needs are covered, your savings aren't solely for emergencies. They're for living, for connection, for joy. So today, I suggest this perspective shift. Instead of asking, "What if I run out?" start asking, "What's worth spending on while I still can?" Your time is now, not someday or eventually. Now, the second thing to release after 60 is this: stop spending money on things that don't bring you joy. Having given yourself permission to spend, ensure you're spending on the right things. Too often, we fall into patterns. We purchase out of habit, guilt, or obligation. We try to maintain appearances, please others, or fill emptiness. We haven't taken time to reflect. But if you pause and truly examine, how much of your spending actually makes you happy? I once spoke with a woman in her early 70s who admitted spending thousands annually on unworn clothes, obligatory gifts, and sale-driven gadget purchases. But her most cherished memory? A $600 flight to surprise her sister on her birthday. They shared laughter, tears, and late-night reminiscences. That weekend meant more to her than all her shopping expeditions combined. This illustrates the distinction between merely spending and spending meaningfully. After 60, your financial choices should align with your core values. Perhaps that's travel. Perhaps it's contributing to your grandchildren's education. Perhaps it's weekly gatherings with friends, or that ergonomic recliner that alleviates your back pain. Whatever it might be, invest in that. Release things that feel burdensome, meaningless, or rushed. Abandon spending driven by guilt, fear, or the need to impress others. You don't owe anyone justifications for how you choose to enjoy your life. And remember, joy doesn't always carry a price tag. Sometimes the most enriching moments are the simplest ones. Sitting on the porch with a loved one, sending a handwritten note, or enjoying nature without digital distractions. Before spending, ask yourself, is this enhancing the life I want to live? Or is it merely noise? Spend with purpose. Spend with feeling. Because the objective isn't having less or more, it's having meaning. The third thing to release after 60 is this: stop exchanging your time for money unless it continues to provide meaning. Throughout most of your life, time and money have been intricately linked. You worked for income. You earned your living by showing up, investing hours, performing tasks, even when difficult, even when unappreciated. This was necessary. It was how you constructed your life. But now, you're in a different phase. In this chapter, time becomes your most precious resource. Ask yourself honestly, are you still working because you find fulfillment in it, or because you fear stopping? Does your occupation provide purpose, or merely keep you occupied? I'm not suggesting retirement simply because you've reached 60. If your work still brings joy, energy, structure, and connection, continue. But do so by choice, not from habit or fear. One man I knew had taught high school for over 3 decades. When he turned 62, people frequently asked when he planned to retire. His response was straightforward: "When I stop loving it." He continued teaching until 67. Then, one morning, he awoke and sensed it. It was time. He departed with inner peace, not regret. That's my wish for you. But I also witness the alternative. People who remain in unfulfilling jobs simply because they've lost their identity beyond that role. People afraid to decelerate because they've never received permission to simply exist. Here's the reality. You can always generate more money, but you can never generate more time. Once today passes, it's gone. No paycheck can reclaim it. So if your work still fulfills you, continue with pride. But if it depletes you, if it prevents you from living the life you desire, perhaps it's time to let go. You've exchanged time for money long enough. Now it's time to exchange time for meaning. The fourth thing to release after 60 is this: stop postponing experiences you've always wanted. How often have you said, "I'll take that trip someday. I'll learn that skill next year. I'll begin that adventure when things calm down." But here's the harsh truth. Someday doesn't appear on any calendar, and for many, someday never arrives. I recall speaking with a couple who had dreamed of cross-country travel in an old Airstream trailer. They possessed both the finances and the time. But year after year, they kept saying, "Next summer." Then, one winter, the husband experienced a health scare. Not life-threatening, but sufficient to give them pause. That became their moment of realization. They had been waiting for permission that would never come. So they packed up, hit the road, and 6 months later, they told me it was their best decision ever. Not because every day was perfect, but because they finally took action. That's the transformative power of acting now. So I ask you, what have you been postponing? A journey? A pastime? A reunion with an old friend? A letter you've been meaning to write? Why not today? You needn't wait for retirement to begin living. You don't need perfect circumstances, nor anyone's approval. Because here's something most people realize too late. Work can become an excuse. Routine can become an excuse. Even planning can become an excuse. Beneath the waiting often lies fear. Fear of change. Fear of embracing something new. Fear of finally prioritizing yourself. But what if this year you abandoned waiting? What if you granted yourself permission to start living now? Not in 5 years, not when timing seems ideal, but now. You're not too old, it's not too late, and you deserve to create experiences that feel magical. Regardless of your age, the world remains full of wonder. You simply need to say yes. The fifth thing to release after 60 is this: stop neglecting your health. I say this with compassion, recognizing it's a sensitive topic, but one we must address. Many people conceptualize retirement in terms of remaining years: 15 years, 25 years, perhaps more. But the more relevant question is, how many healthy years remain? Because without genuine, sustainable health, your financial resources become meaningless. Your planned travels and beautiful retirement home lose significance if you lack the energy or ability to enjoy them. Consider this. Would you prefer $20 million while feeling ill, exhausted, and in constant pain? Or would you prefer just $1 million but feel vibrant, strong, and full of vitality? Most people, upon reflection, would choose the latter. Yet strangely, many live as though pursuing the former. Here's the encouraging news. You needn't completely transform your lifestyle to feel better. You don't need to become a marathon runner or adopt a restrictive diet overnight. Begin modestly. Start by increasing your daily walking. Choose water instead of soda. Incorporate morning stretches or join a local fitness class designed for your age group. Even light guided strength training can dramatically improve your balance, energy, and independence. This isn't about weight loss or chasing youth. It's about preserving your freedom. It's about being able to engage with your grandchildren, travel without discomfort, and awaken with energy rather than fatigue. Your body is the vehicle for your desired lifestyle. Like any vehicle, it requires regular attention, maintenance, and care. So, prioritize yourself. Schedule that medical appointment you've been avoiding. Take that initial walk around the block. Prepare one nutritious meal this week, just one. Because health isn't about perfection, it's about momentum. And the optimal time to begin is now. The sixth thing to release after 60 is this: stop concerning yourself with others' opinions. Let's be candid. Throughout most of our lives, we've been molded by external expectations. We strive to be the exemplary parent, the devoted employee, the dependable friend. We follow conventions. We meet expectations. But eventually, you must ask, who am I living for now? I once worked with a client, a woman in her mid-60s who loved art. Throughout her life, she had dreamed of taking painting lessons, yet she hesitated, saying, "What if I lack talent? What if people think it's foolish at my age?" My response was simple: "So, what if they do?" She enrolled in the class, and it transformed everything. Not because she became a renowned artist, but because she finally permitted herself to do something purely for herself. No apologies, no justifications. Here's a powerful truth I want you to remember. As you age, you earn increasing freedom to disregard surrounding noise. Want to wear bold colors? Do it. Want to travel solo? Do it. Want to decline family gatherings that exhaust you? That's your prerogative. This isn't about being inconsiderate or self-centered. It's about living authentically, so you don't look back with regrets. There's a book by hospice nurse Bronnie Ware sharing top regrets of the dying. Do you know the primary regret? I wish I'd had the courage to live true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Let that resonate. Because when you conform to others' standards too long, you begin vanishing from your own existence. So today, release that pressure. Abandon the need to impress. Express your genuine thoughts, pursue what you love, and allow yourself to be seen. Fully, honestly, beautifully, exactly as you are. There exists only one you, and it's never too late to show up for your own life. The seventh thing to release after 60 is this: stop watching doom and gloom, at least not daily. This might surprise you. Let me clarify. I'm not suggesting willful ignorance. Staying informed matters. Being aware of your surrounding world is part of responsible citizenship. But there's a distinction between staying informed and becoming emotionally consumed. If you devote hours daily to news consumption, regardless of channel, you might begin feeling the world is collapsing. And that persistent stress, anxiety, and fear accumulates. It taxes your body, clouds your mind, and steals your peace. I often ask people, have you ever met someone who, after watching 3 hours of cable news nightly, said, "I feel so much better about life"? Neither have I, but I've encountered numerous individuals, dozens, who reported that once they stepped away from the constant news cycle, their mental health improved, their mood elevated, they became more hopeful, more present, more relaxed. Most news isn't designed primarily to inform. It's designed to capture attention, and fear serves as a powerful hook. The question becomes, is that where you want to direct your attention? After 60, you realize attention is among your most precious resources, and you determine where it goes. You can focus on what's broken or on what remains beautiful. Kindness still exists. Good people still perform good deeds. Music, laughter, learning, growth, and love persist. So stay informed, certainly, but not at the expense of your peace. Limit your intake. Turn off television when necessary. Select uplifting stories. Choose information sources that respect your intelligence, not just exploit your fears. Ask yourself, has consuming this content helped me take action? Has it enhanced my life? Or is it merely fostering helplessness? After all your years of living, you deserve more than sitting in fear. You deserve peace. You deserve joy. And you deserve to invest your energy in matters you can actually influence. The eighth thing to release after 60 is this: stop ignoring your financial plan, but also stop obsessing over it. This requires delicate balance. On one side are those who completely avoid financial matters, saying things like, "It's too overwhelming," "I'll address it later," or "I don't even want to examine it." But here's the truth. Avoiding your financial plan doesn't eliminate problems. It allows them to grow undetected. After 60, understanding your financial situation becomes increasingly crucial. How much monthly income do you require? What happens if your health changes? Are you protected against unexpected circumstances? You needn't be an expert, but you do need a plan, one that provides peace of mind. Now, let me address the opposite extreme, those who fixate exclusively on finances. You likely recognize the type. Perhaps you're among them. They scrutinize every dollar. They wonder, if I take a vacation, will that affect my tax efficiency? They postpone joy because of spreadsheet calculations. Here's the problem with that approach. You didn't save and invest merely to observe numbers on a screen. You did it to live. So yes, consult your advisor, review your accounts, ensure fundamentals are covered, but then release your grip. Allow your money to fulfill its intended purpose, supporting your life, not controlling it. A robust financial plan should instill confidence to say yes, not foster paralyzing fear. I once shared this perspective with a client, and it transformed his entire outlook. The mark of an excellent retirement plan isn't simply a substantial account balance, it's a life well lived. So cease avoiding finances out of fear, stop obsessing over finances from anxiety, and begin utilizing your finances as a tool to construct the life you desire, one joyful, intentional decision at a time. The ninth and final thing to release after 60 is this: stop living as though you have forever. I say this not to alarm you, but to invite fuller living. Because by our 60s, most of us have experienced loss. Perhaps you've lost a parent, sibling, or friend. Perhaps someone deeply loved is no longer present. In those quiet, sacred moments of grief, we're reminded of something we often forget. Life has limits. We understand this theoretically, yet we continue postponing things. We await perfect timing. We convince ourselves we'll eventually get around to it. But truthfully, you never know precisely how much time remains. This makes today incredibly precious. I sometimes pose a simple but profound question to clients. If you knew with absolute certainty this was your final year, what would change? Who would you contact? What would you express? What would you stop tolerating? What would you finally begin doing? Most can answer quickly, yet return to their habitual living patterns. So let me ask, what prevents you from implementing some changes now? You needn't await a diagnosis or crisis to awaken. You can awaken today, fully conscious of life's fleeting beauty. You can forgive someone, begin that journal, book that trip, take that class, plant that garden. Say, "I love you," before the moment vanishes. While you cannot accomplish everything in one day, you can commence. The goal isn't living in death's shadow, but living with profound respect for life, honoring this one wild, irreplaceable existence you still possess. You're here, you're breathing, you have today. That's sufficient reason to stop waiting and start truly living. So there you have it, 9 things to release after 60. Not because you've erred, but because you've earned the right to live more lightly, freely, and intentionally. Letting go isn't surrendering, it's creating space. Space for peace, joy, and presence. Space for what genuinely matters now. Let's recapitulate what we've covered today. Release fear-based saving. Release joyless spending. Release exchanging time for money when time holds greater value. Release postponing experiences that invigorate you. Release neglecting health, your greatest asset. Release worrying about others' perceptions. Release constant negativity. Release financial fear without ignoring your plan. And most importantly, release the illusion of infinite time. Because in truth, you have this moment. And that suffices to begin. Before concluding, I'd like to ask something personal. What are you prepared to release starting today? Consider this. If comfortable, share your answer in the comments. You never know whom you might inspire simply by speaking authentically. If this message resonated, if it reminded you of your worth, wisdom, or potential, please share it with someone you care about. A friend, sibling, spouse, someone who might need this reminder too. At Elders Insight, we believe aging isn't about slowing down. It's about showing up more completely than ever before. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your time, heart, and trust. Above all, thank you for reminding the world it's never too late to live with purpose, connection, and joy. We'll connect again in our next video.